Cowboy Trouble is basically a fish out of water story about a back east journalist who comes west. She has both her romantic and her professional life have totally imploded, and she comes to make a fresh start. And she has always, like me, she has always from childhood wanted to have a farm. And real estate's cheap in Wyoming, and she comes out here to have a chicken farm, of all things. She knows nothing about farming. She knows nothing about Wyoming, and she's a bold girl to come out and do this, but she's really not quite ready. Fortunately, she has a rancher next door who's perfectly willing to help her out. But it's very much that fish out of water thing. I call it crime critters and cowboys, because she also loves animals and manages to adopt pretty much half the county as far as sort of misfit animals go. So there's lots of dogs and chickens and a horse, and then a young girl goes missing. It's the small town's only crime, and she decides that she's going to look into it, and things snowball from there. The next book is One Fine Cowboy, and that is basically animal rights activist meets cowboy. It's a graduate student in psychology from back east who comes out west at the behest of her advisor to study horse whispering as a way of interspecies nonverbal communication is what she's studying. She comes out and discovers that the horse whisperer in question he's supposed to be teaching a clinic, but his ex-girlfriend got disgusted with him, sent out a bunch of brochures saying he was going to teach this clinic, and left and didn't tell him. So all of a sudden, all these people are showing up at his sort of wind-blown, battered, not quite ready for primetime ranch, and they're expecting him to teach them to train horses. And he is a terrific guy, but he doesn't talk a lot. He's very much an animal guy and not so much a people guy. So she does nothing but talk. He doesn't talk at all, but she's there to learn nonverbal communication, and naturally she learns a lot about it. I moved to Montana, actually, and now live in Wyoming. I moved out here, let's see, about 15, almost 20 years ago. And I'm from back east. I'm actually originally a New Englander. And I couldn't believe there really were cowboys. That you go to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and there's guys walking down the street in boots and hats. And, you know, during Frontier Days, they've got chaps on. Chaps are the best invention ever. Pants without a seat, basically. And I just was surprised at how much of the Old West is still there, and just kind of fascinated by it. And even when I was back east, I loved rodeo, I loved Western history, and it's still going on out here. So it really intrigued me. And when I started writing, just my hero was definitely a cowboy.